Jeramiah with QandA Gaming here, and today I thought it'd be fun to go over how to set up and play Shadows Over Camelot. In Shadows Over Camelot, you and your friends play King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table, and it's your mission to go out into the game and win as many quests as possible to bring glory to Camelot. At the same time you're trying to do that though, there's the possibility that one of you is in actuality a traitor, and he's trying to make you fail those quests. The game's for 4 to 8 players with a variant for 3. So let's go ahead and see how the game's set up, and then I'll go over how it's played. Start out by dealing each player a random knight character sheet. All knight character sheets are essentially the same with a few unique differences. To the top left, it will show the knight's unique color. For King Arthur, you can see he's red. At the top, it will show the knight's unique name, and to the right, it will show the associated special power that's unique to each individual knight. The rest of the character sheets are essentially the same. Here they'll show the 3 effects of the artifacts you acquire within the game, Excalibur, the Holy Grail, and Lancelot's armor, and to the bottom it'll show the turn structure. On the back of every knight's card, it will show the different abilities associated if he becomes the traitor, but we'll get to that later. Once each player has a knight character sheet, find the knight standee that is associated with that character. The base of the standee will match the collar of your knight. Next, find the 6-sided die that has the collar again associated with your unique knight. Find the number 4, which is the starting life total you'll use, and set it in the life track area of your knight's character sheet. Next, have a player find and shuffle the 8 green-backed loyalty cards. These cards come in 2 different varieties. First, there are the cards that say Loyal. There are 7 of these. Next, there is the Traitor card. There's only 1 Traitor card within this deck. Shuffle this deck and deal out 1 randomly to each player without letting other players look at the card that is dealt. Have each player look at their card in secret. I suggest not sitting there reading it at this point because it might reveal you're the traitor. We'll go over what abilities and effects he has here later. But for now, have each player look at the card in secret. Then, take their character sheet and without letting any other players see their card, place it face down underneath the green area at the bottom of their character sheet. This prevents the card from getting flipped up letting other players see it. Take the remaining cards that were not dealt, and without looking at them, put them back in the game box face down so no one can see what was or was not dealt. Next, find the white-backed cards. Search these cards for a number of Merlin cards equal to the number of players playing the game. Give each player a Merlin card to start off with. Once that's done, go ahead and shuffle the remaining cards and deal out 5 to each player. At that point, each player should have 6 cards, 1 Merlin card and 5 random other white cards. We'll go over the effects and powers these cards have later, but for now, they should have this starting hand. Once all players have their starting knight sheet, loyalty card, and starting hand, lay the boards out something like this. Have each player take their knight standee and place it around the round table in Camelot. Next, take the 3 artifacts. Place Excalibur in the middle of the Excalibur board. Place Lancelot's armor in the top right-hand corner of the board where the reward is shown. And take the Holy Grail and place in the top left-hand corner of the board where the reward is shown. Take the white cards that were not dealt, shuffle them, and place them in their corresponding spot on the game board. Take the black cards, shuffle them, and place them in their location. The next stage can be skipped if this is your first time playing the game. Otherwise, have each player take 1 white card from their hand and place it face up in the center of the game board. Players now can openly discuss the cards available and redistribute them amongst themselves as they see fit. This is a good opportunity for players to strategize a little bit. For example, there are 2 Grail cards available here, so it could be said, "Hey Arthur, why don't you go after the Grail quest and we'll give you these 2 cards. I'm not going to need anything, so I'll take 0. If players can agree on a strategy, the cards are shuffled back up and redistributed 1 to each knight. This is a good time to mention that within the game of Shadows Over Camelot, there's a rule that no cards can be discussed when they're face down or in your hand. Cards can be alluded to within reason, but you can't say something like, "Oh, I've got a fight card, it's a little higher than the 3, but a little lower than a 5. This gives everybody a little bit of mystery and gives the traitor an actual chance at the game. Now that you're set up and ready to play, let's go over the actual objective of the game. If you are a loyal knight of Camelot, you want to go out into the game and complete successful quests. Every successful quest you complete will earn you a certain number of white sword tokens, and they'll be placed around the round table. A failed quest will earn a certain number of black sword tokens that'll take up valuable slots on that same table. Once the table has been filled with swords, there are 12 available slots. If the majority of those swords are white, the knights have won the game. How do you lose? Well, if there are ever 7 black swords at the table, the knights have lost. Outside of Camelot, there are 12 slots for siege engines to be placed. If ever all 12 spots are taken up with siege engines, the knights have lost. Lastly, if every single knight's health points have been reduced to 0 and they have died, the knights have lost. Now that everything's ready, let King Arthur go ahead and take the first turn. If King Arthur is not in play, let the youngest player go first. The structure of every turn is written at the bottom of your character sheet, and it's pretty easy to follow. First you have the progression of evil phase, followed by the heroic action phase. An easier way to think of this, you can do one bad thing, followed by one good thing. During the progression of evil phase, you have the option of one of 3 negative actions you can take. First, you can draw the top card of the black deck and execute whatever was written on it. Remember, do not reveal this card to the other players unless it tells you to do so, which most of them will have you do actually. Second, you can place a siege engine outside Camelot. Remember, if all 12 spaces for siege engines are filled up, the players lose the game. Lastly, you can sacrifice one of your own life points of the 4 you start with as your negative action for the turn. Remember, if a knight ever gets to 0 life, they are dead and out of the game. The first heroic action you have available to you is you can move. To move, simply pick your knight up from one location on the game board and move him to any other available quest. All the quests have spaces for multiple knights, except the Black Knight can only be dueled by 1 knight at a time, and Lancelot can only be dueled by 1 knight at a time, and those are shown by the available spots here and here. The second heroic action you have available is to execute whatever your quest's unique heroic action is. Each quest has a unique goal you're trying to achieve, and we'll go over what each of those things are here later. The third heroic action you can take is to play a special white card from your hand. Special white cards are denoted by the blue gem in the top left-hand corner. These have various effects, and you can find more information on each one in your rulebook. The fourth heroic action available to you is you can discard 3 identical white cards from your hand, remember to do this face down, to restore 1 life point to your knight. Remember, because you're using a 6-sided die, the maximum life available to you is 6. The final heroic action available to your knight is he can accuse another knight of being the traitor. You can only accuse another knight of being the traitor once per game, and you can only do so once at least 6 swords have been placed at the table, or there are at least 6 siege engines outside of Camelot. This prevents people from doing it the very first thing of the game. Remember, each knight can only make an accusation 1 time. When a knight has been accused, he is forced to reveal his loyalty card. If he is a loyal knight of Camelot that has been accused of being a traitor, the morale of all the knights goes down, and 1 white sword is flipped to black. This player can then play with their loyalty card face up because everyone knows who he is now. However, if a traitor card is revealed instead, 1 white sword is added to the round table, as the knights are closer to their goal. Once a player has been revealed to be the traitor, they take their character sheet and flip it to the other side, and they have special actions available to them as the traitor. After the players completed their heroic action for the turn, they have the option, if they wish, once per turn, to sacrifice 1 of their life points to take a second heroic action. They can actually give their life to do this. Once they're done, play continues clockwise. Once a player has been revealed to be a traitor, they take their character sheet and flip it to the traitor side. They remove their knight standing from the board as it will no longer be needed. On their turn, they now have 1 of 2 available actions. They can 1. Taunt the knights, where they pick a player and make that player discard a random white card from their hand, or 2. They can help spread evil. They spread evil by either placing a siege engine outside of Camelot, or drawing and executing the top black card. If this knight has Lancelot's armor, they'll be able to use that ability when they draw the black card. But we'll get into that here in a bit. Now we'll go over the special actions available to the knights at each location. Knights inside of Camelot can do 1 of 2 things. They can draw the top 2 white cards from the deck if they have less than 12 cards in their hand, or they can attempt to destroy a siege engine outside of Camelot. To attempt to destroy a siege engine, the knight plays as many fight cards from their hand as they want, so we'll play 2 here. They add those numbers up, so we have 5. Then they take the 8-sided die and attempt to roll less than that number. We failed, because we didn't roll a 5 or less than a 5. If you fail, your cards are discarded and your turn is over. If you're successful, which means we would have rolled 4 or less in this case, then the siege engine is removed. At the Black Knights tournament, one knight can participate in the quest, and the goal is to play a total number of cards with a higher value than the Black Knight's cards. As your special action on the turn, you can play one fight card from your hand to either section. The goal is to make 2 pair. So if you've already got a 1 here, you or any other knight that comes along could only play a second 1 to this pile. Any fight card can be played over here. When a black card is drawn, there's a potential for it to be a Black Knight card. A Black Knight card is placed either face up or face down along the pile of Black Knight cards here. If the card is placed face down, the player who played the card can draw a free white card. However, this will tend to arouse suspicion from the other players. Once either all 4 Black Knight cards have been played or all 4 white fight cards have been played, the total value is added up. In a tie, the Black Knight wins. If the Knights have a higher value of fight cards than the Black Knights have value of their cards, the Knights receive the reward shown over here. They'll receive 1 white sword to the round table, 3 white cards to the knight participating in the quest, and that knight will also gain 1 life. If they fail, they'll receive 1 black sword to the table, and any knights here will lose 1 life. The next 2 quests you have available are the wars happening on the outskirts of Camelot, one with the Saxons and one with the Picts. The goal of these quests is for the knights to play a straight from 1 to 5 in numeric order before 4 invaders are placed on the outskirts of the town. Invaders are placed when a black card tells you to place either a Saxon or a Pict, each one corresponding to one side of the board. On a knight's turn, for their special action, they can play 1 fight card from their hand in sequential order to form a straight. 1 first, 2 second, and etc. If the knights manage to make their straight before 4 invaders are placed, the knights win. If 4 invaders are placed before the knights make their straight, the knights fail. Either way, remove all cards played and all invaders. A successful mission means the knights will receive 1 white sword, all knights at the location will share 4 white cards, all knights at the location will gain 1 life. A failed mission will place a black sword, cause all knights at location to lose 1 life, and place 2 catapults outside of Camelot. The next quest is the quest for Excalibur. As many knights as necessary can fit on this quest, and the goal is to have Excalibur reach your side of the shore before it's lost forever. On a knight's turn, for their special action, they can discard 1 white card face down to move Excalibur 1 space closer to their side of the shore. Anytime a black Excalibur card is drawn, Excalibur is moved 1 space farther away from the knights. If Excalibur reaches all the way to the far side of the shore, the knights have lost, Excalibur is gone forever, and they receive the negative consequence in the top left-hand corner. If Excalibur reaches all the way to this side of the shore, the knight who played the last card will receive Excalibur, and the knights share in the other positive rewards. Either way, this board is then flipped face down, and any further Excalibur cards drawn will simply add 1 catapult outside of Camelot. The next quest is the Duel with Lancelot. This is a 1-night quest, and it's very similar to the Black Knights tournament. Black cards drawn will say Lancelot/Dragon on them, and they can be played either face up or face down, just like the Black Knights quest. Here, the knights are attempting to make a full house as opposed to a straight. Once either set of cards is filled out, the totals are added together with the knights winning in the majority, or Lancelot winning if the black cards value more. Once this quest is complete, this board is flipped face down, and there's now a multiple knight quest to fight the dragon. Again, this is the exact same as fighting Lancelot or fighting the Black Knight. Now this one is a multiple knight quest, and once this one's completed, this board is removed, and any further Black Knight/Dragon cards drawn simply add 1 more siege engine to Camelot. The final quest is the quest for the Holy Grail. This is another multiple knight quest, with the goal being, on a knight's turn, they can play 1 Grail card from their hand, on the farthest left available slot on the board. The knight's goal is to get Grails all the way across the board. There's the potential for a black card called Despair to be drawn. These cards are placed on the right-hand side of the board and push against the knights. If ever a Grail card would need to be placed where there's already a Despair card, instead that card is simply removed. If a Despair card needs to be placed and a Grail card is already in the way, instead that card is simply removed. The Knights win when Grails are placed all the way from the left to the right-hand side of the board, and they share in the rewards shown in the top left-hand corner, with the Knight who played the last Grail card receiving the Holy Grail. If ever Despair cards reach all the way across the board, the quest is lost, the Grail is lost, and the Knights receive the negative effect in the top right-hand corner. Either way, the board is then flipped face down, and any preceding Despair cards simply add one more siege engine to Camelot. And that's pretty much Shadows over Camelot. Play continues until the Knights win enough quests to fill the table up with swords, at which point if the majority of them are white, the Knights win. If not, or if the Knights lose and there's a traitor involved, the traitor wins. Any questions or concerns, go ahead and leave me a comment, and I appreciate you watching.